Put yourself in the place of 9-year-old Omarion. In an article titled Child Hunger in America, Omarion's Story by Pete Allen, we realize the harsh truth of hunger in America. Going to bed hungry happened quite often for Omarion. We don't realize how serious hunger is in America. One way to combat this is by limiting our food waste. Today we will begin by learning what food waste is. Then we will discuss the statistics related to food waste. And finally, we will cover actions that we need to take to limit food waste. So, what is food waste? According to the USDA in 2015, food waste is defined as the component of food loss that occurs when an edible item goes unconsumed. There are many different examples of food waste. Many people waste food all of the time. One of those items is the most obvious, food going unconsumed. We simply aren't eating the food that is there. The second thing is throwing away good food scraps. Now, I've seen this many times. At our annual steak feed for our church fundraiser, many people throw away good scraps from the steaks that they buy to eat. I can't believe how much waste there is after such an event like a steak feed. And finally, the last thing is not eating leftovers. I know, leftovers. Everybody loves leftovers, right? Well, in my family, we eat leftovers a lot. Being that there is 8 of us, we really tend to make too much food and have a bunch left over. So we tend to eat our leftovers as much as we can so that we don't waste that good food. Not only does food waste affect hunger, but it affects the environment as well. The New South Wales government discusses the environmental effects that food waste has. The first is that food waste creates greenhouse gases as it decomposes. One of those is the generation of methane, which is a pretty big problem. Second is food waste pollutes groundwater and the waterways from breaking down in landfills. Third, that the resources that are put into creating food products is lost. And finally, not only does food waste impact the environment, but it impacts water consumption as well. As we make food, we put water into it as well. So the less food waste we have, the more we can reduce water consumption. So now that we know what food waste is, let's discuss the statistics about food waste. Food is pretty important to society. I mean, you don't want to go hungry. In order to live, we have to have food and those nutrients that we get from food. The Food Waste Reduction Alliance reported that about 25 to 40% of all grown food in the United States will go unconsumed. That's a pretty big number. And more food goes to landfills than any other waste product. About 70 billion pounds of food goes to waste each year, which could feed nearly 49 million people. That's a lot of people, especially when the rates of food hunger is going up across the globe. The United Nations Environmental Program reports that organic food waste in the United States is the largest source of methane emissions in landfills. Those are some pretty scary numbers. Now that we know the statistics, we need to cover the actions that we need to take to combat the effects of food waste. The USDA outlines 3 ways. The first way is reduce. It is important that we improve our cooking and storing methods in order that food won't go to waste. We also need to limit the amount of food we make. Like I stated earlier, my family tends to make way more food than we need at the moment, which isn't very smart. By limiting the amount of food that we make, we will be able to cut down on the amount of food that we waste, which we really need to do. Now, another way to reduce the food waste is by using different marketing strategies. We need to get this out. We need to market this food hunger or this food waste to the world so they realize that by wasting all of this food, we're really encouraging the hunger level in the United States. The second thing is recover. We need to find different hunger relief programs and organizations that we can be a part of. By joining these organizations, we can help donate and find donors to bring food products into these programs to feed the hungry. The third thing is we need to recycle food waste. Ways to do this is by giving our scraps to pets and other animals, or to use those scraps as compost and fertilizer. So we've discussed today what food waste is. Then we looked at the different statistics relating to food waste. And finally, we covered the actions that we need to take in order to cut down food waste. Food is important to society, and hunger levels are growing. Cutting down on our food waste is essential to creating a more healthy environment by allowing everyone to get the food they need.